Hello? Okay. It's on? Good. Okay. So it's a pleasure to see so many people here today. It's been a long path together, but I'm so happy to see the day come true. So the Alps Forum, as you read in the invitation, is both a scientific event, but it's also a social event. It's the opportunity for us to get together and start doing our part in building this psychedelic scientific community and exchange and learn about these substances that interest us that much. So to set it all off, we're going to start with Federico, who started his career founding Pala, then co-founded the ALPS Foundation, which he's currently leading, and is also working as a psychologist in Geneva.
Don't want to clap? Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. So it's a pleasure to be here today. Just to maybe give you a short, briefly presentation about my profile. I'm a psychologist as of training. I do psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy in Geneva in group settings. And I also participate in research at the University Hospital. Of course, I'm really happy to be here, and as for my personal goal, I would say it's about relieving useless human suffering and promote human flourishing. I'm here today as the coordinator and one of the co-founders of ALPS Foundation, and this is an acronym for Awareness Lectures on Psychedelic in Switzerland. So, when we started speaking about creating an academic conference, we had some feedback like, oh man, that's too ambitious, right? That's a really big thing. Then we went on speaking about creating a foundation, and we had basically the same feedback. That's too ambitious. When I hear this word, I of course relate it to this semantic negative connotation of that about greed, about power issues. But in fact, this word comes from Latin, and from ambi, which is to go, and itum, which is everywhere. Basically, to me, it means a sense of disseminating some kind of message and a real desire of making things happen. We were not scared of hearing that word, and that's why we are here today. Another word I know that is a little bit like that one, it's a word full of prejudice, and when we use it, sometimes we get some negative feedback and judgment on ourselves, and that word is drugs. But when we speak about that word in Switzerland, basically, we speak about the 4 pillars of drug policy in Switzerland. So this is how the government of this nation is dealing with drugs. So you see here, there are 4 main parts, which are repression of misuse and all the part of that is related also to a black market business and the money involved in all of that. Risk reduction, which is about making the users of drugs being aware of their health issues and potentially give them the best possibilities to use them in a conscious way. Then, of course, you have the therapy part. Of course, we are here today for that reason. And the prevention, being able to spread some information on for the population to not have new generation, for example, get addicted to very addictive substances. Of course, we are here today for the therapeutical part. For some drugs, we all know about psychedelic drugs. In this sense, we started our first steps founding Psychedelic Association of Lausanne for Awareness. So Pala, which is the name of this island in which this novel from Aldous Huxley takes place into. And since the starting of all of that, we had already this these goals. These are our status that were deposed in the 27th September of 2019. So we have the risk reduction, the therapy, and the prevention as goals to bring to our university at the time. We were students, nobody were speaking about psychedelics around us, and we realized in Switzerland there were a lot of things that were already being done. 6 universities are nowadays doing research on that. In Switzerland we have the possibility to do compassionate use with psychedelics substances, which is a unique possibilities in the world. Of course, we miss here one of the 4 pillars, but that's not our role. Speaking about the Swiss related drug policy, we also have here an important document about the steps that will be taken by the parliament, which is basically the future positionment of Switzerland in dealing with psychedelics, with the substances in general. I just had a moment because of that person that just entered the room. Franz Vollenweider, yeah, thank you. So, yeah, to see that this document was basically approved and put forward from the Swiss Parliament 1 year ago, basically. If we go check this document in detail, we see some important things about psychedelics. So we can read that substances, psychedelic substances, are appropriate to treat psychiatric disorders. So this is a statement from Swiss Parliament. Also, that with intensification of research, we will be able basically to move forward in approving these substances as medicines. So it will be even easier to get access in a clinical setting to these treatments. So basically, yeah, we founded that association, and in this desire to disseminate this kind of knowledge, we reached out to other students, and we tried to let them be aware, right, of all of this. We participated, for example, at the Swiss Psychology Students Conference. And eventually we started sharing our documents to create also formally a student association in other universities. And here's today the results. So you can see here the Lausanne one, the Geneva one, the Fribourg, and the Neuchâtel ones. These are student associations that are formally accepted by these universities. And their goals, of course, are interdisciplinary sharing of the knowledge about psychedelics. So they have this prevention, sharing knowledge, and collaboration in research projects goals. These are all independent entities. And this is really important for us also for to keep the freedom of thinking about all of this. And that's where we are today. Here today we are in Bern, so of course we tried to reach out to students in Bern to let them be aware of psychedelics in Switzerland and all related things, and maybe things are moving forward for that. To give you just an example of something that's happening, this is a professional project, a collaboration for a research that my colleague and co-founder of ALPS Foundation, Cyril Petignan, will talk more about. And this is a collaboration between the Student Association of Geneva University and the University Hospital of Geneva. It's about checking what are the motives of consumption of psychedelics in the student populations. To give you other examples of what we do as student associations, this was the first event that we did with Paola. It was the 5th of December of 2019. We were not formally approved at that time yet, so we were precautious, and we partnered with three different other associations to held that event. Eventually, it took the university 14 months to approve our status, but then we were finally there, and we kept on doing a projection of movies and inviting speakers to speak at our university. These are examples, basically, of events that can be created by these student associations. This is the proof one, the Fribourg one. It was a projection of a movie with a PhD, Abigail Calder, presenting thereafter for the discussion. It was here. And this was another event from the Geneva Student Association related to art and the influence that psychedelics had on Western art and culture when they came in Western society. Another thing that we can do as a student association is create info tables at the beginning of the semester to let all the other students know about psychedelics and about the fact that there's an association they can join and participate with. Basically, I had the inspiration for this slide to show you yesterday at 5 p.m. Because I had something coming in on my WhatsApp, and that was already basically the first Bern Student Association University event that will be held the 18th of May. I just had a conversation with the founder of this student association. They already received the approval, the formal approval, so there is now a student association on psychedelics in Bern. And of course, it took them 1 month to be approved, but there are differences between the length of these processes in different parts of Switzerland, let's say. I think from the first moment we had a bottom-up approach of really being there as students and letting people to participate together with these events and sharing this kind of knowledge. When we tried to create this conference, of course, we didn't have the means to do that. And again, we tried to apply these principles of bottom-up and participation. So we had a crowdfunding there. We asked for people to just give us basically the means to create this academic conference. And these were the results, basically. We received 162% the money we asked for. The conference was a really good moment for many of us. It was then shared in YouTube for free, all the talks. So we are also having this open access approach, of course. And I'm showing you this because basically at that point we told ourselves, but if we have such a participation, maybe there is still room for things to be done. And then we started really thinking about, but how could we create basically a jewel of human cooperation? And we were in Switzerland, so this is the oldest democracy still going, and there is really this feeling of participation, these motives of independency and also federations. So we took basically also inspiration from where we were. But where are we now? So if we want to put human history on a slide, that would be a little bit difficult. So let's take the part that is to our interest today, this mind-altering perspective on human history revolving around psychedelic substances. When we talk about these substances, of course, we talk about a process that is being lived and experienced and being of interest for humans since the dawn of time. So this is a rupestral image from 5,000 before current era. And then you have all the ancestral usages of these substances, the pre-Columbians, the Eloise's mysteries next to Athens, and then at some point, basically, as Western culture, we started studying this. So Albert Hoffman found LSD while researching the ergot mushroom that were possibly present in the Kikayon, this this brew that were used in the Eloise's Mysteries. And this is an image of Maria Sabina giving psilocybin mushroom to Gordon Wasson. Watson, who will eventually bring that in Western society. From that moment of connection between these usages and the Western society, a lot of things sparkled. So, of course, the creation of narratives, dystopian narratives and utopian narratives on how these substances could be integrated in a society. This is Aldous Huxley, known for the dystopia book Brave New World, but also known for the utopian book in which psychedelics are integrated in a better way in society, Island, the book Island. And of course it sparked also science that started in the time. Also, there were a huge impact of these substances on culture and art. Here we see the Beatles, and of course we know about this Lucy in the Sky with Diamond song that some always also took to create the name of their own projects there. Of course, this great changement brought also some backlash, so some war on drugs, right? Some war on this concept that can be really misunderstood, and we should not fear to use this word in an effective way. Where are we now today? So this is Mary Cosimano, coordinator of the therapists in Johns Hopkins University, where they are doing psychedelic research. And this is Rosalind Watts. She's also psychologist collaborating in Imperial College London with the team of Cara Taris. So we were really trying to see how could we participate in this context nowadays in our present moment. So we started looking around us, and basically we recognized that there were already entities devoted to sharing knowledge about psychedelic substances. This is the Beckley Foundation from England. This is the Belgium Foundation. This is the Holland Foundation. So entities that are really there, non-profit, to share knowledge and projects on this. And then we really narrowed our focus around Switzerland. We have the French Society, the German Society, the Italian Psychedelic Society. And so we told ourselves maybe there is a gap to be filled, maybe there's a way for us to participate also in this sense. And that's where it came, the idea of this foundation. I could not avoid noticing that the fanciest logo here, of course, is from the Italian Psychedelic Foundation. And then I really told myself, okay, but let's try to go past your own positive bias. And in fact, I realized this is basically a painting which is called The Birth of Venus. And it's colored in psychedelic colors. And it's basically one of the prototypical artworks for the Renaissance in Italy. So that cultural movement that then spread all around Europe. And I realized why they took that image, basically, because of course we are witnessing now in this moment of history, this Renaissance in psychedelic science and understanding. I'm telling you all of this because one thing that's really important to underline is that we are aware that our life today is really easier than a lot of generations that came before that tried to bring these substances and their meaningful use to society. And for this, of course, we are really grateful for all these people that came before us. So for the scientists, for the artists, for the novelists, not to you, Nixon, but for all the other people. And we should be really always keep the awareness of where we come from in this sense. Also, I wanted to show you this picture Because one other thing we realize is that there's a lot of copy and paste in the process of human evolution and history. To give you, so we took really inspiration from these other entities, and in fact, to give you an example, the same process of writing and the creation of an alphabet, the literacy process, is something that today is, of course, assumed as connaturated to our essence as humans. But that was an invention of humankind, the alphabet. And basically it was an invention that was independently invented in different parts of the world. This to say that basically a tool like a foundation revolved in sharing knowledge about these things in Switzerland would have, in a way or another, would have born at some point. So it's just a matter of some synchronicity and of us being alive today and willing to do this that we've done it. But we hope this will last even when we will not be there anymore. And this is to tell you that this entity is at the service of this cause. To give you then more detail about what it is, ALPS Foundation. One thing, so the first thing I would like to start speaking about is the values that we really have at the core of this organization. Effective altruism is one of them. Effective altruism in itself is a philosophy. It's about creating the most good in an effective way. Okay, what is good? So we could spend hours and a lot of time speaking about that. Let's say for this moment that good, for example, is when Switzerland accepts you to not pay taxes on the profit you make as a non-profit. Meaning basically that normal entities, they have to pay taxes because their goal is to make profit, and these taxes then are reinvested from the Confederation to the whole population. We got the approval from the Swiss government in not paying taxes because in fact we are already doing enough for the community. So we are a non-profit entity, and in this sense basically a way to see what we are doing is that we foster a kind of evidence-based compassion approach. Yeah. But if you want, in any case, to check this movement, this philosophical movement on Wikipedia, of course you will find the wonders they've been creating in many projects. Another important value that we hold dear to our hearts is the intrinsic motivation. So again, it's about feeling some meaning in what we do on a daily basis. Of course, we are really happy when we then achieve a moment like this that is the goal of our efforts, but we should not, while arriving here, forget about our present moments and our daily life, meaning that we can really rehearse all the time, why am I doing this? Okay, it's a boring administrative document I have to sign to make that, but this is also part of the larger picture. And we do this for that reason. Another important value is critical thinking. The idea is to, this is basically the basis of the scientific method. Really try always to check your assumptions and improve them. To letting always some open space for new hypotheses, but then being able to structure and have a foundation for your knowledge to be able to improve it. So these are, of course, principles. We would like to get really, to be coherent with these. It will take time. In any case, we are here for that, and also to learn how to apply all of this for the time that will come in this field. As for the structure, this is a foundation, so it's a non-profit entity approved by the Confederation. You have to have a council. Here you see the 4 co-founders. And in particular, I would like to stress the fact that we cannot get salaries out of this foundation. So what we do is completely volunteer work for that. But of course, we can ask for money. We can have we can sell tickets to then refund our own events. Then you have the project managers, which are people that helps us in a really concrete way in different projects. They could get a salary one day. For the moment, they are volunteers. But of course, the idea would be that an entity like this could provide also some real opportunities to make a living out of the field of psychedelic substances. Then we have 3 different boards. The student board is composed by one student coming from each student associations, and it's there to have exchanges with us, and most importantly, to create and coordinate the Swiss Psychedelic Student Conference. It will be a conference made by students for students. There will be space for that, since students in bachelor and master, they can already create their bachelor and master thesis in psychedelic related projects. Then we have a scientific advisory board. Matthias Lichty is part of that. He's at the University of Basel. He's the most important psychopharmacologist working on psychedelic substances in the world. And someone called him once the hire of Albert Hoffman. I mean, he's also working in Basel, right, where Albert worked and discovered LSD. And here we have the other one that we have for the moment, Gregor Asler, which will give a talk today. I will let him present himself. Maybe just to say something, I recently seen a TED talk that he gave. And this again shows that basically this wish of disseminating this kind of knowledge in our society in a broader sense. Then we have an ethical advisory board. For the moment, we have only one member. This is Peter Owen. He has been working with psychedelic substances in Switzerland for more than 3 decades. And he's a psychiatrist, and he recently published as a first author this article, the 25th of April. So really like 2 weeks ago. I really wish you to have the time to read this article that explains basically the group therapy model has been done in Switzerland for PTSD and complex PTSD disorders. This is a really meaningful piece of science nowadays. What about our activities? We have 3 main sectors, so the media, the community, and the professional sectors. For the media, basically, we try to invest the media and the society, sharing knowledge about psychedelics. We are present in all the social medias for that. We have a YouTube channel in which we upload for free all the talks that we managed to record, to have them available for free to people that could not attend the conferences. We created a podcast in which we go interview specialists on these matters that is also freely available. Twitch, so some students came with this idea for people old like me. I was not aware of what Twitch was, and Twitch basically is an internet-based television. So you have online streaming with people speaking about topics. And we will basically held the first Twitch channel. It's like a television channel related to psychedelics in the French language. This is a project that is only made by students, and we are just supporting them. Then, of course, we have press involvement, meaning that we deal with the press. Today there will be the Swiss radio television coming, and of course it's also about getting them an entity to refer to speak about these substances in an evidence-based manner, and this is also an important role we have. For the community, we have 4 main events. The forum you're in today, it's about science and connecting. We have the conference at the end of October. It's an academic conference on 3 days. We give away postgraduate training credits, and it's really with some also international speakers. It's really a huge event. Then we will hold the Alps Symposium, which is like a gala night, sort of, for members of this foundation, because you can be a member of this paying an annual fee, and then be invited to this symposium to basically give us also your inputs on our activities if you want to. If you're really intrinsically motivated as to come there, you know. And then we will have, as I told you, this student congress created by students for students. On the professional side, we can, of course, create partnership with universities, and of course, we can also have fundraising to support different initiatives. One thing we do is also putting in connection students and university professors to do internships, and of course supporting them for their works in bachelor and master thesis if they want to do that on psychedelics. As for the event of today, here we are today for this forum, and the goal of this moment was to really have the Swiss psychedelic community together. So one thing I would really like to tell you, if it was already not clear, it's that Alps be there for you, right? Of course, we are delighted to participate and to give you our support if we can in any given way. In fact, friends are really important in life, and we would not be able to do so much without them. For example, yesterday night, having to bring here the banners, etc., I realized I got the key. I left the key of the car in the car, so I could not access the car because it was closed. And basically, we had to remanage all the organization again. This to say that I'm really, really thankful to the Alps Forum Committee. Here from the left, Chloe Battisti, Polina Ponomarenko, and Christian Beckman. Thank you. This would not have been possible for you without you. And I wish you a good participation. Of course, we always remember that we are at large a part of a greater community on this little piece of dust flying in the universe. But for today, as Amina Birds from Pala Island would say, let's stay here and now. Thank you so much. Maybe, since we are already late, I don't know if we have time for questions, or in any case, we could have some after. Maybe one question, if you have one. Okay, in any case, we will be able to connect and share and know about all of this even after. I let Christian take back the stage. Thank you so much.